California's controversial low-carbon fuel standard took another step toward becoming reality when the state's Office of Administrative Law gave its go-ahead for the new plan. Some corn-based ethanol groups are worried now they'll be frozen out of the largest gasoline market in the U.S. Clean Sky's Dan Goldstein has more. Dan.
Hey, Susan. Yeah, and remember we talked about this back in April of 2009. That was, of course, when the California Air Resources Board first put its stamp of approval on the low-carbon fuel standard. Now, the goal, of course, is to have 20% of California's fuel come from other sources than gasoline by 2020. And California, as you said, is the biggest gasoline market in the United States. However, they hope, and that is California, they hope that this will save about 16 million metric tons of greenhouse gases a year. California also hopes that this will basically replace about 1.5 billion gallons of fuel a year. And looking at this would be a boon for California, especially for biofuels. 25 new biofuel facilities, they estimate in the state alone, creating 3,000 jobs. But, Susan, here's the kicker. The ethanol industry thinks that that will come at the expense of corn-based ethanol jobs in the Midwest. And that gets back to what we've talked about before, the indirect land use assessment methodology. California's Air Resources Board, when it approved the low-carbon fuel standard, allowed this type of methodology to be included in how ethanol is graded as a low-carbon fuel source, measuring the sum of greenhouse gas emissions. And corn-based ethanol, they say, creates more emissions than it removes. And the ethanol industry today said it feels it could be frozen out of the California market. Here's what Bob Deneen of the Renewable Fuels Association had to say, quote, "The low-carbon fuel standard would virtually eliminate the domestic ethanol, the only low-carbon alternative to gasoline, from the California marketplace in favor of imported ethanol and futuristic fuel technologies such as hydrogen and the electric car." Now, of course, one of the good things to the ethanol industry is that even though that the Office of Administrative Law approved this, this doesn't mean that it goes into effect overnight. And just like the renewable fuel standard on the federal side, this ramps up slowly, and then in the back half ramps up a lot more significantly. But the ethanol groups are taking no chances, according to them. They actually filed suit in December in Fresno to halt the low-carbon fuel standards in its tracks. As you recall, December 24th was a big day for lawsuits. We had the National Cattlemen's Beef Association filing suit again against the EPA's endangerment findings. So lawyers were definitely busy Christmas Eve. But as the ethanol industry goes, and I should say as California goes, so does the nation, and the ethanol industry obviously worries that if the low-carbon fuel standard does get the okay in California, other states could follow suit. Susan.
Okay, Dan Goldstein, thank you.